So, hi, and welcome to the first Anexis podcast, where we will be talking to our guests about specific industries within the engineering and technology sectors. So, this is our very first podcast, so please, everybody, take it easy on us. So, for those of you who don't know Anexis and what we are about, we're a bespoke solutions events company. So, we work within the engineering and technology sectors. Our mission is so simple. So, we bring together the brightest minds and the most forward thinking companies, shedding light on their triumphs, their struggles, and their ingenious solutions that employ to overcome obstacles. So our aim is to partner with companies across the industries that help to grow and maintain a safer, sustainable future. So we do this by providing bespoke solutions that elevate brand awareness, lead generation, and showcase incredible work our clients are doing within their own specific industries. So our solutions, they range from podcasts to private dinners, lunches, and networking events. So you can engage, speak, and exhibit while networking with your peers and colleagues while having drinks and nibbles. So we're not just about events, though. We're about forging connections, sparking inspiration, and championing the incredible work happening in the engineering and technology sectors. So to find out more, check out our websites, which will be linked at the bottom of the webcast, and obviously on there, everything below. So today, we are joined by our very first partner, SimplyBD. They're in the nuclear industry, and their founder, Alix Johnstone-Morfoisse. Is that right, Alix?
It's okay. I've heard worse.
It's one of those names you can't always pronounce. You always think you get it
It's
right, and you don't.
okay.
So Alix has a vast experience in the nuclear field and is by trade a nuclear engineer. So we'll be talking to Alix about her background, her career, why she's decided to start her own company, and what that means for her and for everybody else in the nuclear industry. So without further ado, hi Alix, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Darren. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. This is actually my first ever podcast, so let's see how it goes.
Don't worry, we're both in the same position. I'm sure we'll be fine. So we go back quite a way. So I believe I was a sponsorship executive at previous employment. I think that must be 5, 6 years ago now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Time flies, doesn't it? At the time, I was a member of the Institute of Engineering and Technology, and the IT was really active in organizing events and providing networking opportunities to early career engineers like myself at the time. And it was extremely valuable. So thanks for all your work and support. And it was great to get back in touch last year. We're both starting up our businesses, and it's always great to share that experience. So exciting times for both of us, I guess.
Exactly. It's really exciting times for both of us. It was a pleasure back then, working with you and talking you through bits that we'll be doing. And by forging that relationship all those years ago has led us to where we are today. So it's really good. It's exciting. So you started as a nuclear engineer. That's right, isn't it? Tell us about that. Why that specific industry? Why an engineer?
I was really into math and physics at school, and I discovered early on what engineering was, and I thought it sounded like a great way to combine that passion for physics and solving real world problems. And in my last year of lycée, which is the equivalent of year 13 in the UK, I was part of a project on radio protection, which gathered students from across Europe to talk about radiation and understanding it better. Part of that included a trip to the Le Havre facility in northwestern France, where they reprocess used fuel. And when we got there, they were unloading a used reactor core. We were very well protected, obviously, from the radiation. We were behind a thick layer of glass. But when they explained how much power was contained in such a small amount of material, I was just blown away. And that's when I fell in love with nuclear and decided to get into that industry.
Wow. 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 What a way to be introduced into the world of nuclear, eh? I suppose not many people get that chance to see something like that. And I suppose that's what made you fall in love with nuclear in the first place.
No, definitely not. I was very lucky that I was there for that specific event, I guess, because it doesn't happen all the time there. And it is when I fell in love with it. It really goes to show how much impact engagement at school level can have.
Absolutely, grassroots and everything else goes hand in hand with everything, doesn't it? So, talking of schools and colleges and stuff, so I hear, amongst other things, you're also doing a PhD.
Yes, I studied up to master's level and then I went to work in the industry, but I'd always wanted to do a PhD really. And when I realized it was possible to do it part time, I just decided to go for it. And that was in 2019. So I'm now a little beyond the halfway point. I'm studying at the University of Birmingham, looking at the predictability of failure in robots and the radiation. I'm focusing mostly on the electronics as it is one of the main failure mechanisms. And I wanted to research something that would be useful to the industry kind of straight away, but that had both theoretical and experimental aspects. So I'm working with the Extreme Robotic Labs at the university, which is doing amazing work on building robots for extreme environments. And it's great to be able to do some practical work with an actual robot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So how's it all going so far? I mean, you're enjoying it?
I'm loving it. It's truly hard at times. I'm not gonna lie. I'm doing it remotely, and I fit studying around other commitments, but it's very rewarding when I do manage to make some progress, and I hope that I can graduate one day.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Not that you need it, but we wish you all the best and in that, and I'm sure you will pass with flying colours. So, as a
Thanks.
female engineer, how did you find the culture in an industry that's predominantly male dominated? Although there's big changes happening to get more females into engineering across all different industries, which is fantastic. But how did you find the culture?
Yeah, this is a big topic. I think in my case, I grew up in an environment where I was encouraged to just be myself. So that's what I always did. And as I moved into the industry, I never really stopped to think about the fact that I was a woman in a male dominated industry. I was just doing my own thing, being me. And if people aren't okay with that, that's kind of their problem. And it's how I've approached it, and it's worked for me. But that is easier said than done, and everybody deals with it differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I love that outlook. It's a great way of thinking. Just be you, carry on. And if people don't like it, it's not your fault. You shouldn't have to change for those. You just enjoy what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And all in all, I've been very lucky in my career in that I worked for the most part with people who were very professional and never created an environment that was uneasy. But I know that's not always the case, unfortunately. And thankfully, there's a great organization called Women in Nuclear. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yes, I have such a great organization. You remember there then?
Yeah. The UK branch is fantastic, and I'm a member and a volunteer there. And it's actually thanks to one of the events that they put together that I found my first job in the UK. If it hadn't been labeled as woman in nuclear at the time, I probably wouldn't have been, because I was a young master student and I wasn't used to these kind of networking things. And I think I would have been too intimidated. And so the work they do is very important because they support that exposure and representation of women at all levels within the industry. And that's very inspiring.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. It's so good to hear. So not only are you a very talented nuclear engineer, you're also a voice for women across the industry also. Absolutely fantastic. So you mentioned falling in love with the industry when you were young. Who was your inspiration growing up?
I know this can be a bit controversial, but for me, growing up in France at the time, there was a woman, Anne Lauvergeon, and she was at the top of one of the biggest nuclear companies in the world. And that was very inspiring. And it made me believe that I could do that too one day, with a lot of hard work, of course. But it's that saying that if you can see it, you can be it. And it's very true that not seeing someone that looks like you or speaks like you in certain roles, it may make you think you can't do it. If you do see that person, then you know it's possible because they're just there. And that's very powerful.
And that's true in all cases, though, isn't it? And that's for everybody, not just everybody that listens to this. So belief is a strong thing. And I mean, if you believe in yourself and you're sure you can do it, then you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a strong believer that, self-confidence, it goes a long way.
Absolutely. So looking a bit more broadly now, how are you finding the industry at the moment?
Well, the UK nuclear industry is at a very exciting time at the moment, and there are many opportunities for businesses, especially SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, to contribute and benefit from that. What I would also add is that these opportunities are not only reserved for businesses already involved in the industry, especially for companies involved in highly regulated ones. So, think aerospace, for instance. And so that's true for large projects like new gigawatt reactors like Hinkley Point C or small modular reactors, which we start to hear more about at the moment. And these are designed to be built as modules, which will make it quicker and cheaper to build once they're rolled out. Something quite interesting, but a little bit more early stage, is advanced modular reactors. They're the next generation of reactors, and they are inherently safe just because of the way they are designed and operated, and they can be very, very small. And both of these aspects mean that you can put the reactor very close to the end users, and they can access not only electricity, but also very high temperature steam that they can then use in other processes, such as chemical production or hydrogen production. Well, anything that needs heat, really. And also district heating for local communities. So all of these reactors will make a huge difference in terms of carbon footprint once they're rolled out. And whichever type they are, I think they're all needed.
That's amazing to hear. It's very much aligned with the mission of Anexis as well. So where else can business find opportunities in the sector?
There's definitely more. First, I would say decommissioning. The UK has been doing decommissioning for a long time, so they are truly world leading on this. It involves complex and challenging projects. So as reactors start shutting down around the world, there will be a lot of demand for it, and the UK supply chain should make the most of these opportunities. Fusion is another one where the UK is very well positioned. The UK Atomic Energy Authority, UKAEA, they have been operating a tokamak reactor for decades, so they have a lot of experience and learning to share with the fusion community. They also contribute to the ITER project in the south of France, and they are developing the STEP reactor here in the northeast. There are also many fusion startups and businesses that choose to settle in the UK for that reason, to co-locate, and that's really nice to see.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So just looking at obviously SimplyBD now. So tell us more about SimplyBD then. Who are you? What do you do? How can you help?
Who are you? I created SimplyBD last year to work directly with the UK nuclear supply chain. And essentially, I have a strong technical background in nuclear because of my studies and my experience, but I also have a business development knowledge now. And I love connecting people and building new relationships. So I wanted to bring that to companies that don't necessarily have the time or the resources internally to do business development. And SimplyBD can provide that support in whichever way is needed for each of our clients. And that can be by essentially being the company's business development manager, but just a day or two a week to enable them to chase new opportunities, but not having the burden of having a full-time BDM. And something that is also very useful is getting support with events, for instance. So that's when a business is attending and exhibiting at a big conference or a trade show. And it's usually a very big expense and it requires a specific skill set to deliver. Preparation is key. And that's kind of where SimplyBD comes in and helps to prepare in the best possible way to deliver on the day and maximize that return on investment.
So essentially then what SimplyBD does and what you do is take away all the stress and the worry for the client and does the stuff that client doesn't want to or have time to do themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody likes doing business development, but I really do. I enjoy it.
That's great to hear. So do you only work with SMEs?
That's a good question. Of course, SimplyBD can also work with larger companies and even international businesses, as the UK is a very attractive market, as we've discussed earlier. And as I said, it's a very exciting time for nuclear, with opportunities in the UK and internationally, with a lot of new projects starting, and also that realization that the world will need nuclear to fight climate change. So SimplyBD is here to support all businesses to make the most out of these opportunities and grow into that market. And ultimately, it's about making business development simple and accessible to all.
So you touched upon the climate change there, but this is one of the reasons that we wanted SimplyBD to become a partner with Anexis, as our goals and visions align. We're supporting businesses in the market while tackling problems like climate change, sustainability, net zero, etc. So it's fantastic to see our synergies connect like that. So some exciting news ahead for us. Not only are we doing this podcast with you, we're also planning an evening networking event together. So we aim to get the industry together for some food and some drinks, network and have a thought-provoking convo that needs to be had along with exhibitors and speakers. The event looks to be a great, relaxing, fun evening.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. We haven't nailed a date yet, but hopefully we'll find some sunny evening to do it, and everyone will be very relaxed and exchange on all things nuclear. I think it's very important to create different opportunities to exchange as an industry, and I hope that many will join us either as exhibitors, speakers, or just attendees.
Absolutely. Obviously, when we've nailed down the dates a bit, so everybody that's listening, we'll keep an eye out for the dates and stuff, and they'll come out once it's all finalised. That seems to be a really good evening, so I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to put ourselves through this again and do another podcast after the event has took place. So we're going to talk about the event itself and the takeaways from it, maybe some gossip if there's any. So keep an eye out for that, like I mentioned. So Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and great to have you on as our very first guest. I hope it wasn't too bad for you.
Well, let's see what people think. It was a great experience for me, and And I think it's really important to put yourself in slightly uncomfortable situations sometimes. So that was definitely one for me. So thanks a lot for having me.
You're more than welcome. And believe me, I'm in the same situation. You're right to put yourself in that uncomfortable position. So it's great to do it and get the first one out of the way, especially with someone that I know and is doing such a good job within the nuclear industry. So thank you to everyone that has listened, followed and liked us. If you are in need of some business development and help, please do reach out to Alix at SimplyBD. They're doing some great things. I'm sure they can help you too. And if you have any questions or would like to find out more about Anexis or SimplyBD, please do drop us a message or go onto our websites and social media to find out more. So until next time, thank you, Alix, and thank you guys for listening. Take care.
Bye.